Well, good afternoon.
What's going on, guys?
Welcome back to the channel. And if you are new here, my name is Tanya, this is Levi, and we are building our off-grid homestead from scratch.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun learning all the off-gridness of being off-grid. And we have submersed ourselves 100% in being off-grid.
Yeah, it was not actually our intention to be off-grid when we bought this property. We had, you know, plans of getting a well, which I know technically is off-grid. Yeah. And we met with the power company to get electricity ran here. And after we found out how much it was going to cost, we decided to be off-grid, which we collect our rainwater for our water needs, and we have a solar system that Levi built for all of our power needs.
Yeah, we are very happy with the solar and the water catchment, and we wouldn't change a thing.
Yeah. So what we've been working on, if you're new here, is our house, and we are at the part now where we are going to start putting our siding on, but there was a few things that we needed to take care of first, so we'll head over to the house and we'll show you those.
All right, so the first thing we needed to tackle was fixing this window. We weren't sure exactly what was going on with it, and we believe it was transported upside down, and what happened is the mechanism that lifts and lowers this window, that helps it, was disconnected from the pane of glass. So what it had to do is take out the window and then reinstall it, and now it works perfectly fine. And it was easy fix, so then I went ahead and flashed the whole outside of it, and so now we are ready to go. The next thing we wanted to do before we could start siding is seal off our foundation. So we went ahead and installed some concrete fix in there, and it basically just seals off that space between our sheeting and our foundation. And that's really not meant to be a waterproofing necessarily, but more for air and bugs and stuff like that. Just seals it off so our crawl space stays nice and clean.
So another thing, and this has nothing to do with being able to do the siding, and I'm actually surprised because I don't think any of you ever pointed this out, and we have some of the most keen viewers I have ever seen, but it's this culvert here. We actually had our excavator put this culvert into our dog trot foundation area when they backfilled, and we had them do that because basically this is like a big concrete swimming pool. The water can't escape. Okay, so we had them put this in here so before we put the roof on we were able to drain the water out. So we put a sump pump down in that hole, and I think we were able to get somewhere, this is obviously a very broad guesstimate, but between 100 to 200 5-gallon buckets of water that we were able to use to water the orchard and to water the garden. And
I mean, every day for a month we pumped 8 buckets of water out of this hole.
Yeah.
So it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it was a great way to use this water. You know, being off grid, you have to use everything you can.
Every drop of water.
But it was finally time, now that we have the roof on and everything, to cut this thing out. And so no more giant black eyesore here in the way.
How many times doing the sheeting and the roofing that we had to move the scaffolding through here, we had to go around this culvert. We should have done it a long time ago.
We should have.
But it's done now. That's the important thing.
All right, and then one of the most important steps here is getting...
What's the name?
And this is Ryder. He is our almost 4-year-old Bernedoodle. And he is full of energy and spunk and character, and What were you doing?
He's tired.
Anyways, back to this. So we this morning actually got our first coat of paint on our trim pieces, and now it's time to do our second coat. goes on so easily. All right, so we got almost all of it done. We have 11 pieces left to go, but we have to take our new kitten, Charlie, to the vet. We are gonna just make sure that he is nice and healthy, and we'll get back to work as soon as we can.
All right, see you guys.
Charlie is now up to 1.4 pounds.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Hey guys, so it is actually the next day. After we took Charlie to the vet, we came home and we did finish painting those last 11 pieces of trim. But I wanted to let you guys know how Charlie is doing. First off, we have confirmed that Charlie is in fact a boy. So like I said, the name Charlie works out perfect regardless. And we actually, obviously we took him to the vet for a couple of different reasons. One, just to make sure he was healthy. But yesterday morning, he started pulling his fur out off of his back. And it started off with just a tiny kind of dime-sized spot. And then we called the vet right away. They got us an appointment for 3 p.m. By the time we got ready to take him at 3, it was probably about 3 inches of bare skin, bright red. And I mean, we were really, really concerned. So we took him to the vet and they did a bunch of testing. We were there for quite a while. And basically what he has, and it's really common, is an overload of bacteria on his skin. He is doing really well. I mean, he is not showing any signs of slowing down. He's playing all the time. His appetite is amazing. He loves to cuddle, purrs all the time. But we were super concerned. I will not share what that wound looks like because it is pretty gross. But hopefully it'll clear up here pretty soon and he will be back to good. But right now Levi is grabbing the laser level because we need to make sure that we level all the corners of the entire house before we start putting the trim up. We want to make sure that when we hold the trim and the siding down, that it all matches the whole house. So we're gonna start by doing that today. This kind of initial part of starting the trim is kind of a long process because you have to do a bunch of figuring and you know, it is part of the whole process. So we're gonna do that first, and then we'll start getting all the trim pieces up, and I'm super excited for that.
All right, we got Tanya's favorite device that we've ever used.
And when he says favorite, absolute least favorite, the laser level sound is like, you know, like fingernails down a chalkboard, you know, that kind of thing. Anyways, we've just spent a little time figuring out exactly how we want to run our corner trim. Important, just because up at the top here, let me get up there, that kind of box that we made where we didn't do the bird box, we kind of held it back.
Yeah.
We have to make sure we know how we want to run the trim in that area before we could actually figure all of this out. So now we are ready to start doing the measuring.
So we know our foundation is not perfectly level, so we're gonna make up for that by dropping our siding down and making the bottom of our siding perfectly level. So we're gonna start on this corner and we're just gonna work our way around. So it looks like we're about 3/8 here and 9/16 there. So that's 3/16 difference just on this one side. So now let's check this long span and see where that is. So we made our way all the way around. We know this is the highest point, so where we need to start here to make sure that we have the siding go down onto the concrete a little bit all the way around the house. So here's our starting point. Let's get aboard.
Stop moving. Okay, so we finally got everything set up. We have all of our table saws, our sawhorses, everything ready to go. Levi just cut a 2x4 to figure out our angle for our first piece of trim. Everything just takes a little bit longer. Especially when you start a new project, making sure that all of your measurements are correct, because the last thing we want to do is get our trim pieces up and then start putting siding up and realize that our measurements were wrong. So we did spend a lot of time double checking and triple checking everything. So now is the fun part, because we actually get to start putting the trim up, right?
Yeah.
But it's not even just as simple as that.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
You have to figure out which way you want to run it, which one you want, because this stuff you can't miter, so you have to butt seam everything. So we have to figure out which direction we want to have the seam. Like, there's a lot of stuff that goes into figuring out to do the first piece. So.
Mm-hmm. Going all the way to the long, big pencil mark, right?
Yep. holding it right on 0 or 1?
Let me go to 1 because that'll be a lot more accurate. Okay. As long as I can see it. Hold on. Yeah, that's good.
So 104 and an 8.
So 103.
103 and an 8.
Okay. All right. And your angle is good?
Yep, good.
All right.
Yes.
Is it good? A little high?
It's not bad.
Okay.
Alright, we already know it's square. So 103 and an 8. Okay, went to the barn, grabbed a piece of scrap that we had left over from the barn. This is the actual board of the board and batten siding. So it's really just a sheet of plywood. The way this stuff is intended is you want to have like a 1/4 of an inch to 3/8 of an inch gap where any materials meet. So where the trim is up, if we were just to run this like they say on the directions, you would just put this up against your trim and hold it like a 1/4 of an inch away. And then you're supposed to caulk all that. Well, that would just look terrible, in my opinion, to have just a 1/4 inch thing of caulk all the way around everywhere. I think that would look terrible. So what we did with the barn, and it works out beautifully, is we just made a rabbet out of the back of our trim so that the siding can slide behind it a little bit, but have enough space that if the siding were ever to expand, it would have room to expand. And that's the reason why you have to have a gap. So the way we're gonna do that is make a rabbet. So I just need to know how thick this is. And this is 7/16 of an inch thick. So what we're gonna do is set up the table saw so that it can take out 7/16 out of the back of this trim, and then we'll put it up.
All right, so the most important thing is that you paint any of the cuts. So that means we'll cut or paint our edge here, and then paint that whole little rabbet that Levi put in for that trim to slide behind. Oh, that looks good.
I think I moved it. Check
It's up a little bit. There you go. Is it plumb?
Yeah.
Can you just double check the bottom that you like it?
All right, we got our first piece up and we realized it's wrong. And so this is our thought. We wanted, because the dog trot is behind me here, we want to have, you know, you could kind of see where these corners like make like this seam here. And it's not bad looking. We'll caulk that and paint it. It'll kind of disappear, but you're gonna see it. And so we kind of wanted to have that seam here on the back of the house. But what we didn't think about was the fact that up at the top here, we're gonna leave this weird spot up here that's gonna be off. This corner, what you really want it to do is make it look like it's one solid piece. And so what we're gonna have to do is take this board back off, put this board on first, and then overlap that board on the back side of the house, which unfortunately is gonna cause a seam on this side here, but it's gonna make it look so much nicer up here and make it look correct. So I think we're just gonna go ahead and do that. I went and grabbed a pry bar. We'll pull it off there. Unfortunately, there's gonna be a couple extra holes, but once you paint them, they kind of disappear. So at least it's the first piece and we can fix it on the rest of the place. Redo. We're gonna try to just push these out and then see if we can just re-hammer them by hand. That way we don't have to put any new holes in this board. Big quarter. Verify the bottom is
It doesn't even come close.
What is it, short?
It's like a whole inch short.
Is
Guys.
it Monday? No, it's not.
Oh, today is not our day. So we went did our measurement for our corner piece for the second time, and when we went over to the saw to measure it out, I held it at 1 inch, and then
I marked it what we measured.
yes,
So 1 inch or so.
it's easier to hold it at 1 inch than to hold it at the end of the tape, because you actually get a more accurate measurement, but it only works if you cut it correctly. So that piece is not wasted. We'll just have to cut it to like a regular 9-foot board for one of our corners. It's basically ready to go. We just have to cut our 612.
Yeah, I already got the rabbit ripped into it.
Yeah, so we just have to cut the 612 off, no big deal. So that means back to the drawing board with a new piece of trim, cut the rabbit in it, cut our angle.
3rd time's the charm.
And cut it at 102. No.
Yeah.
It's actually not.
It's 102 3/4.
But with our big... Anyways, it doesn't matter. You guys don't need to know all that. It's just going to be right this next time. All right. 3rd time has got to be the charm, right?
Definitely.
Otherwise, I'm quitting. No, it does not go up. Beautiful.
Back. In. More. Too much. Back.
First corner. Only
First
took
corner,
us
go.
how many hours today?
This took us, well, we've been at this for 3 hours trying to level all the corners before we could actually start putting our first piece up. So let's hope the hard part's over, right?
Yeah. All right, guys, so we got that corner up and it went up with zero problems. And now we are in a position where we have to make a decision, and we have made the decision, but it took us like
a long time.
An hour.
This is forever, right? So the sheets of siding come 10 foot. So we have to have a break, which is what this gable break is meant for. It's where the sheeting for the siding naturally break. So you have to have something there to start the next sheet. So you have to have a drip edge, and we'll show you guys how we're doing all that stuff. But we need to determine whether we want to have this gable break level with the bottom of this soffit, so the bottom just carries nice through, or if we can go like up to the top of this trim board, which is actually what we did with the barn. And so we've been debating on what we like better. So I've been holding it up, and Tiny's been stepping back and looking, and Tiny's been holding it up, and I've been stepping back and looking, and I think we have thought long and hard. I think we're gonna go with level with the bottom of this fascia, so that it's just a nice clean line from side to side.
Yeah, so basically our siding that's on this side of the house will then line up perfectly with the siding, the lower half on this side, you know, with this break. I think it's really just a personal preference.
Yeah.
I don't think there is a right or wrong. We looked at a lot of pictures, And some of them looked great if you went all the way up. Some of them didn't look so great. Some of them they held it lower. So again, I think it's just personal preference. And so that is our decision. So the next step for us is to pop a line so that we keep this gable break nice and straight from this corner all the way to that corner. And then one thing we didn't talk about is we just put this temporary piece here just to kind of see what it would look like if we want to use. This is a piece of our fascia board that we just cut to fit in there, and Levi just temporarily nailed it. But I don't know if we'll use that or if we'll use a piece of our siding.
Yeah, it's kind of odd that the grain runs
that way
instead of this, because the siding is all going to go run this way, but then this board is going to run this direction. So does it look better to have the grain run this way?
No.
We'll make that decision when we come to it.
Ready?
Yeah.
You can take it down to there so I can get a measurement. Down just a little. Just gonna go ahead and mark 16s that way. Know where to run our battens.
Okay, so now that we have our corners up and our gable break up, we have a bunch of cutoffs, and we have calculated that into the count of how much trim we need because it's all the same stuff. So we're going to start going around these windows, and that first piece that we cut actually is perfect for the bottom of this window here. This is our 4 foot by 4 foot window in our guest room in the house. So looks like we got to cut maybe 6 inches off or so. So we're going to start at the bottom, and the way you want to run these windows is you put a piece at the bottom first, then you do the 2 sides, and you run the sides up to the top, and then the top piece actually covers the side pieces. That way water can't sit on any of this trim, and then we're going to actually put a piece of drip edge on the top of the window.
So another thing I wanted to point out really quickly is that we also will be putting that little kind of cutout, that rabbit,
Yeah.
in our pieces of trim for the windows, just like we did for the corners and for the gable break.
I put that first piece of trim up and I realized that I really want to biscuit all the window trim. And so I went ahead and took it back down. I only had a couple nails into it. Because of the flange of these windows, it kind of doesn't sit perfectly flat on the wall. So it kind of just tips a little bit. And the way we're going to resolve that problem is putting a biscuit into it. So I went and grabbed the biscuit joiner and we're just going to throw some number 10 biscuits in there, put that all together, and I think it's really going to help us go around that window nice and straight and flat. All right, so we got the biscuit in there and it looks like it's just a little bit still tipped back here. So what I'm doing is just putting a shim behind this side piece to try to just pick it up. And it's all because of that flange of the window. Just kind of holds it out just a little bit. So I'm just making up the difference with this shim before we nail it. All right, got this first window done. A lot of kinks to work out. This day was incredibly difficult for us, trying to figure out how to start all the siding, the level of the foundation,
that just was a lot to figure out. But we've worked out all the kinks. I think this side looks really good. I'm happy with our decision on the gable brake. We do have some drip edge to put on those things, and then mass producing some windows. So thank you guys for tagging along. We really appreciate you being here, and we'll catch you on the next one.